5-year rebuilds used to be my specialty, but this year, EA decided to fix the transfer portal. Everybody leaves. Everybody. But I'm gonna try my first rebuild, taking over the Minnesota Gophers for 5 years and hopefully winning a national championship. This is a program that hasn't won at all since 1960, but I'm pretty sure they're the only school that has ever won back-to-back-to-back national championships. And they're actually one of the few teams I've never rebuilt on this channel before, mainly because I didn't know how it would perform, so y'all need to show them some love. We should be getting some awesome snow games in this video while dealing with the difficult nature of the new Big Ten. And we're about to find out if I can save a team in 5 years on College Football 26. Just getting a quick look at this roster, we're going to have some of our best players both at the running back position, so we're going to run the football. AJ Turner transferred in from Marshall. Darius Taylor, you would know him from the transfer portal last year. He would basically always end up at Michigan. Probably won't keep either of them around for more than a season, but then you look at this quarterback room, and I don't know what to say. I could bring up the name Max Shikin-Zansky. It's a last name I've never seen before, but I'd rather discuss Drake Lindsey, who's going to be our starting quarterback as a freshman. He's 6'5" with impact development, but if you look at his deal breaker, the second that he gets half decent, he's just going to leave us at Minnesota. As a Big Ten team, none of our school grades are that bad. I just don't see us raising our brand exposure that much in this first season, especially since we're not supposed to be that great. So I have a solution. We're going to go after quarterback Ronnie Bale. He's a 4-star quarterback from St. Paul, Minnesota, so he could stay in the state with his 94 throw power and some pretty good accuracies. Alongside him, I found 3 5-stars actually interested in considering the Gophers. All of them are gyms. Then there's a gym and running back Courtney Hayden. He has 92 speed as an elusive bruiser, so he can also run through dudes. Now, this next thing's subject to change based on how this first season goes, but at the moment, only 14 players actually want to leave the Golden Gophers at the end of this season. One of those guys being Coy Parrish. Don't even know if I'm saying his name correctly, but he can play both sides of the ball. He played wide receiver and halfback in high school. He's normally just a free safety, but apparently Minnesota's experimenting with him both ways, so we're going to as well. My only issue is I can't really figure out how I'm going to get him onto the field, because if I try to put a free safety in through formation subs or the depth chart, it only lets me put corners on this side of the ball. I don't want this kid to just return kicks for us and play defense. I want to be able to use him as a running back. I want to be able to use him as a wide receiver, even put him in the gadget slot that they added this year. But since EA doesn't allow us to put free safeties there or even corners in the gadget slot, it's just a major miss from them. That's a letdown, but at the moment, Ronnie Bale has made up for it because we have jumped up into first place for him. I'm hoping that we can just run away with that battle. We're also checking in on some of these 5-stars. Winning those is going to be a little bit more difficult. Maybe not on Tony Emin though. The 5-star Jim is also from Minnesota with his 86 speed off of the edge. We're the only school targeting him. We'll see how these battles change over the course of the coming weeks. Obviously, what's going to matter is some of these games I want to hop into. I just have to point out these recruits I'm excited about from the start, because even though we're going to mainly use the transfer portal, if I could get 4-star Jimmy Dove at wide receiver with 91 speed being 6'3", I'm going to love that. I also don't think our schedule is really that bad for this season. I mean, playing in the Big Ten, you're going to run into teams like Ohio State. We're going to run into teams like Oregon. But outside of that, some of our other toughest games are going to be against rivals Wisconsin, Iowa, and Nebraska. I've also decided that we're just going to use PJ Fleck as our coach for this. I thought it'd be more fun to explore stuff like the talent developer tree, which he had unlocked from the start. If we get to tier 3, it'll actually allow some of our starting players to gain XP faster, which would be incredible. All of the yapping aside though, I am going to hop into our first game against Buffalo. I just have to make sure we don't start the season losing to a MAC opponent. And if you've never seen one of my 5-year rebuilds before, I can only hop into 3 regular season games every year. The idea behind it is I have to actually build a good enough roster in Sim for us to be able to win, though I just saw row the boat written on some of these paddles. I have seen their Twitter accounts interact with me on Twitter, and they always said row the boat for Bordeaux or something. Their mascot's spinning his head like that. Is that okay? I don't know how he's doing, but we have been able to drive down this field on our first drive. And we're really trying to get into the end zone with Darius Taylor. On 3rd and goal, we pitch it over to him. He cuts inside, and he falls forward. This is a good start for us. We should not struggle against Buffalo. However, I'm not going to act like they're not keeping it tight. On 3rd and goal, they just broke a sack attempt, the first one. They throw up the ball, and we drop it. This is how we're going to end the first quarter. But look at our mascot spinning his head, distracting them, and it caused him to miss the kick. That's one reason to rebuild Minnesota. Another, though, is they have the Wildcat formation in their playbook. where I thought we were about to go for a touchdown. We have been leaning on Darius Taylor all game so far, though. It's time that Drake Lindsey tries to make a pass. But our offensive line collapsed so quick. That's another thing that we're going to have to focus on rebuilding up. I think we can still hit this field goal, though. Fortunately, what I've been able to pick up from this game is we're going to be just fine this season defensively. It's really our offense I'm worried about because, as you can see, with a few minutes left, we have not scored like any throughout this second half, which is why it's 20-14. If we can't get a couple first downs and run out the rest of the clock, then they're going to have a chance to respond. So that has me nervous. Here we go, though. 3rd and 8. Our tight end should get open with this corner route. All we need him to do is fall down, hanging on to the football right there. And that is going to allow us to take a knee, end this game, and pick up our first win. It's going to be a long year if we're only beating the Bulls by 6. And it took almost no time at all for there to be a new group of players that want to transfer. These guys are complaining about playing time 1 week into the season. What that makes me want to do, though, is make sure Kenrick Lanier II sees the field a bit more. He's got really good skill caps and impact development, so in a few seasons, he could be a star. I've been bullied into handing out playing time to guys that are clearly not as good as some of the starters, mainly just so we can retain this roster. We're not even going to touch on Malachi Coleman either, because even though he could be a monster, 6'5", he has 96 speed, he was awesome for us in my Nebraska rebuild last year. I've already talked to him on Instagram about it. I DM'd him, I sent him his deal breaker, and I offered a Lambo. I said, if I give you a Lambo, will you stay at Minnesota? And he won't. Unfortunately, he just said the game always has him end up transferring to Texas or Ohio State most of the time, so I'm planning on losing him, though we should be beating FCS Southeast. It's another win for Coach PJ Fleck, 36-6. And I got a little curious. What has Minnesota football looked like over the last couple of decades? They had an 11-2 season in 2019. I think that's the best year that they have had since 2006. But that's not good enough. I want to turn this team into a title contender, and we are one step closer on Ronnie Bale. We still have a lead, but we also have to schedule him for a visit, and I think we should do it against Rutgers. That is going to be the next game on our schedule after we face off against the Golden Bears on the road, which was obviously a game I didn't mind simulating, but they took us down 22-7. If you take a look at Drake Lindsey's stats, he only threw for 136 yards, an interception, no touchdowns, so we basically have the quarterback on the level of an Iowa quarterback. That type of play isn't really getting the people going, but I think Ronnie Bale could. We really want to make sure that we sign him. Just from what I've heard, Minnesota's had a harder time keeping their in-state recruits in the state going to Minnesota, but this is our chance to change that. All we really have to do is win this week against Rutgers. I think we also have the other kid from Minnesota on a visit this week. Just no one else is going after Tony Edmond. He might have some character issues that we can overlook or something, but if we get to the bottom of our board, you're going to see Boston College is dominating with that pipeline. Same thing with Penn State. This kid's from Pennsylvania, so we're probably not going to get him. I don't care though. As long as we can get a 4-star gym quarterback, that is what we need to set ourselves up for a 5-year rebuild. We're about to play this one against Rutgers. Listen, if I'm bringing out the alternate jerseys this early on, then you know that it's serious. We're wearing black. This is going to be their funeral. Not that beating Rutgers is something that you should even brag about, but we're going for it. And look at how the sun's setting in the stadium. I just can't get over how much better this game looks this year. That's been really nice. If we can make this throw on the run with Drake Lindsey, maybe we can keep him. What a stud. We got that Gopher mascot lurking behind the ref there. He's just waiting to celebrate for when we punch this one into the end zone. But I might have just ran straight into our offensive line there. We're going to confuse him with the motion, and then we're going to bust through that hole. This is a great way to open up the game whenever you have some recruits that are visiting. And it's a little bit harder to see now, but I have been looking at the Minnesota skyline back in the distance. It's behind the stadium here. We're going to try and complete this on 3rd and 12. That didn't really work. If the ball came out, I probably would have just thrown a pick, so we'll take a field goal. Smart moves like that are the reason that the longer this game goes on for, the better that we seem to be doing. Malachi Coleman breaks a tackle to fall into the end zone. We were not expecting to get a touchdown there, but you know that we'll take it. Where does this guy come from? I'm actually loving this Gopher mascot. At the end of the day, they would try to keep on scoring in the 4th quarter and get back in it. But we honestly had such a big lead that there was no chance they were going to overcome it. Darius Taylor rushed for 170 yards, so that's how much of a stud he is. And there's the commit that we have been waiting for. Ronnie Bale, welcome home to Minnesota. I also just realized I have no idea where anything's at in Minnesota, so I looked it up, and St. Paul is literally 19 minutes away from the campus. It seems like a neighborhood or a suburb of Minneapolis, so the fact that we're able to get him to stay in our city, massive deal there. We also got another 4-star, Brett McMillan. He's going to be protecting him on the offensive line. I can't believe we got him before Boston College did, but Penn State is literally just running away with this kid. There's no point in wasting our hours. We're going to pull out of him, and then we're going to pull back in the Luther Hilliman. He's a tight end that I really wanted to land. I don't know how long it's going to take to pop up. Where is it? 87 speed, so he could be a beast for us, but Utah and Michigan have a lead. Everybody else we have on a visit for the coming weeks, we're about to play Ohio State on the road. I think we can sim past this one and just expect that we're going to fall to 3-2. That's not really a surprise to me, but you're going to start to notice we now have a ton of players that want to transfer out, and we're only 3-2. I've counted it up, I've done the math, and if I did my math correctly, there are 34 players that could potentially leave. Not exactly looking great for Minnesota football since I can only hop into one more game this season, but we have some of these players on visits this week. Some of them have already visited. I'm hoping that if we beat Purdue, that can actually lead to some more commits. And then it's pretty clear to me that since Luther Hilliman's from California, these pipelines are just going to beat out anything that we can offer. I do think there's going to be some 4-stars that no one else is going after that we can still recruit though, but what we want their deal breaker to be is going to be something like conference prestige, because that's going to stay at the same spot. Starting with the Boilermakers, this is where things could really go downhill for us. But I have seen that 5-star Tony Edmond has signed with the Gophers, so we've retained more talent from Minnesota. After surprisingly beating the Boilermakers 44-7, we are going to have to sim against rivals Nebraska. We're going to have to sim against rivals Iowa. We're basically going to sim all the way until our final game in the season against the Badgers. Just from what I've heard from Minnesota fans, that's the most important rivalry trophy that we need to add to this trophy case. It would certainly be cool to play against teams like the Cornhuskers in Iowa. We will in the future in other seasons, but I know this rivalry has some lore behind it as well that we can't get to yet. We'll save it for the day we actually play it. Courtney Hayden commits as well. And is that Damian Blade popping up as a commitment a week later after we face the Hawkeyes? There's nothing else. We have lost the 5-star right tackle to Tennessee. I think it's okay though. This is a very solid start for using the Gophers. Although the Volunteers have now taken 2 players from us, we've been able to make 4 or 5 solid signings. We're also still in the running for this 4-star Jim at defensive tackle, this 4-star Jim receiver. Unfortunately, since we ended up losing to Nebraska, our visit week just didn't go as planned. Well, outside of getting Jimmy Dove to commit, these battles for these 4-stars didn't go the way that we were hoping for. Illinois was able to snag this 4-star corner, and basically the rest of our recruiting board is just going to be 3-star prospects, which is what I'm expecting it to look like once we get to the transfer portal period as well. See, here's the thing. Even though we started this first season pretty well, winning 4 out of our 6 games, we ended up starting to lose a lot. Nebraska shredded us. Then we beat Iowa 13-0. I think this is funny that they couldn't score a single point on us. But then we lost to Michigan State, we lost to Oregon, and beat Northwestern. This puts us at 6-5, which is about what I was expecting for season 1 with Minnesota. We're mid-table in the Big Ten. This is where they're projected to finish in real life. And so far, we've already gotten to add 1 rivalry trophy to our trophy room. We have the Floyd of Rosedale home in Minnesota, but what's more important is the game that's coming. Headed into this one, Wisconsin is an 85 overall team, but they have only won a couple games this season. In fact, I feel like if we can win this matchup, we're going to be able to steal some of their players in the transfer portal. There is an issue with this team that we are all aware of though. It's our offense, which has only scored 14 points in 3 quarters. We also have AJ Turner out there on the field, which means our star running back is unfortunately injured. And we have no choice but to go for it on 4th and 1 where the blocks are there so we can cut up. See, I think with how much Minnesota runs the football, the wear and tear was really weighing on Darius Taylor. He's been out for a couple weeks now. You can also see a lot of our guys up front on the line on both sides of the ball dealing with injuries. That's just not what you want to see out of a team. On 3rd down, we're going to throw our comeback route that just got boxed up. And I think we have to go for it in this situation, so we are, but we're going to be short of the marker. Don't worry though, we ended up getting the ball back, driving down the field, and with 3 minutes left, we have our chance to tie things up. We are going to need a 2-point conversion though, so we're just waiting for their coverage, and we hang on to the football. Listen, Minnesota fans, I know how important this is. I am seriously trying. They probably should have thrown us an interception there. On 3rd and 12, we got stadium pulse through the roof, and they're not picking that up. We have a gold crowd ready to erupt if we can just at least get into field goal range and end this one. You know who we got back there at returner. He's probably transferring after this season. But it's okay. We're only setting up for the future of Minnesota football. Although we know that we already picked up his replacement, I wouldn't mind Drake Lindsey being a part of it for at least another season, just because he'd been good until this moment right here. I tried to playmaker. We had an open player, and he got hit as he was throwing. We can't really do anything either. We only have 1 timeout left. They're actually trying to pass the ball here. And you know what? We have to let them get in. This isn't good. We're going to go for the touchdown. We're going to go for the 2-point conversion, but they have a lead again. And I'm just looking at our underneath route first. One of them's going to be open. If it wasn't the drag, then it was going to be AJ Turner. He transferred in from Marshall. He's been good for them. but they're not giving up anything long. We are also missing Malachi Coleman. For whatever reason, he is not on the injury sheet, but he's also not on our depth chart. That's our 96 speed monster of a receiver that I wanted to keep around, who would honestly do incredible versus some of this press coverage. Bieber's getting open, though, and he's inside the 25. The problem, though, is we have no timeouts, and hurry-up mode is absolutely atrocious. We're not getting the play calls that we want. We're probably just going to throw this away for a quick reset. What we cannot do is take a sack on this play. We're going to try and find our tight end again. He makes the catch. He's out of bounds. Drew Bieber, whatever you want to call him, he has been extremely solid. There might be too many routes going to the same spot here, but look at that mismatch. It's a bad pass. That makes it 2nd and goal. If they give us man-to-man coverage, we're going to have that. If it's zone, we're going to try to split the zones. He catches it with one hand. He brings it in, but I can't get too excited yet. Although what Tracy just did right here is something that you just gotta keep in the history books. Whether or not it is something you want to remember, all comes down to this 2-point conversion. My main read here is going to be AJ Turner, but we have Brockington, and he's down. This is exactly how I was hoping season 1 would end. I don't think Minnesota fans could ask for much more than this. They caught the final ball, but it won't matter. We were able to win 2 of our 3 rivalries this season, and most importantly, this one. We are keeping the axe in Minnesota. PJ Fleck is going to continue to be loved by most Minnesota fans. At least I'd like to think. Drake Lindsay needs to stick around for another season. And I will continue to say that because I have no idea if Ronnie Bale is actually going to be that great, even though his stats make it seem like he should be. We have no idea what his dev trade or anything's going to be. At least championship contender is rising, so that is going to cause a few less players to want to transfer. But I have not really touched up on these settings at all. It's pretty much just the default stuff that you're stuck with, so there's going to be up to 20 players that can leave our roster every season. We also have an opportunity where we could get rid of either of our coordinators or extend them. I haven't looked deep into either one. With Greg Harbaugh Jr., is that his son? If it is, pretty cool. We also have talent developer on him. We have the recruiter thing, so this allows us to have a little bit of bonuses in recruiting. Nothing crazy there, though. This is what I care about. If we're not going to get the tactician tree, that's important, though Danny Collins, he's not much of a tactician himself, so I'm actually going to get rid of our defensive coordinator. As for the Heisman Trophy winner, it went to Georgia receiver Zachariah Branch. They are known for their speed. Here's the most important thing that we could ever look at, though. It is what Ronnie Bale's dev trait is going to be. Star dev is something that I can gladly work with. We have elite dev on Damian Blade, the 5-star corner, elite dev on Tony Edmond, the guy from Minnesota that's going to be rushing off of the edge, and I also saw star dev on our running back. Then this one just caught me by surprise. I didn't even scout this kid. Elite dev on a 3-star athlete thumper, so I can assume that Sam is going to be my user. With where we finished in the Big Ten at 7-5, I am a little disappointed we didn't get a pop-up that we've made it to a bowl game. That just doesn't really make any sense to me. There's so many bowl games in this game. We did not make it to one, but if we could have lucked into the Pop-Tarts Bowl, that's what I would have loved. I just don't get how we weren't given one at all. I am going to bring on Jim Moore, though, UConn's head coach. Apparently, he's been fired. He just feels like he's going to be a better fit than Chuck Martin. He's more of a tactician than anyone else. But it is a lot harder for me to hire out my coordinators on this game than it was last year, since these coaches are real. As for our season stats, Drake Lindsay threw for about 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, 11 picks. He already wants to transfer anyway, so you can do that. You're a 72 overall. We have your replacement. Darius Taylor getting injured definitely hurt his rushing stats, but this is a lot lower numbers than I was thinking. I thought we'd pound the rock a little bit more, but our receivers aren't happy either. Either they're going to be gone because of graduation, pro potential deal breaker, or the playing style deal breaker, which really breaks my heart because our best receiver got a good amount of yards. Then if we take a look at who won the national championship, it goes to Penn State, so the Big Ten is on top there. As we advance into the offseason, we're going to pick up some of these 3-stars committing, but the most important screen is here. Players leaving. 20 of them are able to transfer out, plus all the guys that can graduate, and I don't think we're going to be able to persuade very many of these guys to return. I went through and counted. I think we're about to lose like 50 players. It seemed like there were about 30 seniors that graduated, and keep in mind, this team just went 7-5. We got a baby here at punter transferring because of the playing style. What are we complaining about now? I mean, we're going to try and get this edge to come back just because he's a freshman. He's decided to stay. I'd say we should try and do the same thing with Darius Taylor. He has a low chance at coming back, but he is not going to return. Then we're going to just try and get some of these receivers to come back. It can't hurt us. Like, I would love to have Malachi Coleman for another year, but he's gone. Unfortunately, we're just getting a lot of failed persuasions. The final attempt, though, our other best player he's gone too. If I were to sort by overall and then show you all how much talent we're losing off this roster, you'd see why I'm a little bit worried for next season. I cannot let that bring us down though, and it could also be a good thing because next year now, a lot of these players aren't going to threaten to transfer, and the guys that are just not that high of an overall. With Darius Taylor going on to the NFL draft as well, this is something that will raise our pro potential grade. I don't really love how they did it this year though. They updated it so it's now over the last 4 years instead of the last season, but my problem with it is it's now by position, which makes more sense. But a school like Minnesota that's not had much success at the quarterback position is going to have an F grade. The same is true for wide receiver, though if we go to tight end, then we go up to a C. So it's all based off a position this year and the last 4 years. Probably a good thing that they did it that way. It's just going to make it harder to raise that grade as a school now. We're going to be able to hard sell a couple of these 4 stars before we look at the transfer portal. Outside of that, with these 3 stars, I can't believe that we're even in competition. With our leftover 600 hours, I got excited for the portal, and these are the only 3 and 4 star transfers that we have access to actually go after, so this is not good at all. I mean, I could sit here and look at 2 stars, but there's honestly not that many options at the 2-star spot either, and not any of them are freshmen besides 1 player, so why would I even want it? Instead, what we're just gonna have to do is we're gonna have to target the 3 stars that nobody else has been recruiting. So far, during my FIU dynasty, I was using the transfer portal all the time. I thought it was pretty overpowered, but for this Minnesota rebuild, it doesn't seem to be so far. As you can see, we have all these 3 stars out of high school that have now been added to our board. And we're going to get 4-star running back Traylon Trout to commit. That's another halfback to add to our room that's a 4-star, but we're going to have to remove Mitchell Mundy. North Carolina's going to beat us. We're also going to have to start guessing the hard sells on some of these 4-stars, like Damon Walters. I would love to get the freshman 4-star transfer. I just don't see it happening if we don't guess his hard sell correctly. Caden Jenkins, we're probably not going to get. And at the end of the day, we basically just signed the type of recruiting class that I would expect out of Minnesota. I can't sit here and say that it was anything special. There were definitely a couple of those 5 stars that felt good. I'm glad that we retained talent in the state. But I can't sit here and tell you all that this is going to win us a championship a few years from now. On those 4-star transfers, unfortunately, the one I really wanted, Damon Walters, he chose LSU. We got this 4-star corner, but that's about the best transfer signing. And even this tight end chose Pittsburgh over us, so we're going to have to remove him as well. With our 27 signings, our class is going to finish inside the top 25, so I am actually proud about that. I think the 5 stars really carried the weight there. But that is the 7th best class in our conference, which we need to eventually win, or at least compete in, so we can get a spot in the playoffs. Our roster has quickly fallen to a 72 overall before training results. I didn't realize AJ Turner didn't transfer though. That is nice for us to get. I'm going to go through these athletes, see who we can move around. Sam Poega being the most important one. He's going to end up being a linebacker for us. He was the guy with elite development as a 3-star, so we're just going to move him over to one of these. I already have some bad news though. As I was looking through the position changes, Tony Edmond, the 5-star that committed to us, his deal breaker's pro potential, and since ours dropped, he's going to transfer out after a season. I went in, I did the manual progression for a lot of our most important players next season, and what I can say is we are going to greatly struggle next season. I'm just going to auto progress the rest of these guys, see what we can get up to here. A lot of it's not anything too great, but we're a 77 overall, which is a little bit worse than we were last season. You can see that's also increased the number of players that want to transfer, but I think we're still around 10. I get to go in and do my own encouraged transfers, though with a roster size of 71, it might not be the smartest thing to do in the world. I just would rather have the freshmen that I recruited at kicker and punter actually play for us. I don't really know how we're going to do in season number 2. Our non-conference schedule could be a lot harder than it is. I mean, we have Akron, Mississippi State, and an FCS school, so I'm expecting those to be 3 free wins for us. But then again, we have true freshman Ronnie Bale as our starting quarterback. I'm expecting him to get really good throughout this rebuild. Just his first season, we haven't been able to upgrade him much. There is also Courtney Hayden to get excited about. The 4-star running back has star dev with unlimited quickness, so we're probably going to upgrade that first after AJ Turner graduates. And it's time for me to build out my full recruiting board for season number 2. Last year, I mainly just went after players that were interested in our school off the rip, and I'm going to do the same this season, though I will also look for players in Minnesota. This time around, the top of our board isn't going to have 5 stars, which might seem like a miss, but we still have a few gyms I've been able to find, not as many as last year, though inside the state of Minnesota, Earl Pryor is a gym that I'd love to get. Same thing for Matthew Whipley, except even though he has 92 speed, he is just a 3-star, so having a 3-star as the 4th best player on the board, not the best sign for what this class is going to hold for us. I thought I might as well go after someone like Tyree Hay at the bottom. He is a 5-star actually. These are just players that no other schools are targeting, so we're going to try to get them, but more importantly, I just want to retain these guys. Even though our conference prestige has fallen down to an A- for whatever reason in the Big Ten being the 4th best conference, I still believe that that's the best thing for for us to recruit players off of whenever it comes to their deal breaker, because everything else can fluctuate a lot, and we should be starting this season with a win against FCS Midwest. After taking them down 49-20, we play Mississippi State and UCLA at home, both of those being pretty winnable games, but I've also noticed on our schedule, we have a rivalry versus Penn State with the trophy, and also against Michigan. I think it's pretty safe to say, though, as a lower overall than Mississippi State, we're probably not going to be good enough to beat either Michigan or Penn State this season. I'm not sure which games I'm going to want to hop into, besides against Iowa and Wisconsin. That third regular season game will either come down to a visit week or if there's a chance to retain a transfer. At the moment, again, not many players want to leave. That is exactly what we want to see, but unfortunately, our hard sell on Damian must not have worked because we fell to second place. I ended up simming through the Penn State game, but after beating Mississippi State, we lost to UCLA by 2, we lost to Washington by 1, who's now ranked inside the top 25, and then the Nittany Lions took us down, so we're sitting at 2-3. And to be honest, if we don't beat Akron here, then everything's going to continue to go downhill, but I want to hop into our matchup against Northwestern next week since we have visits against Akron and Northwestern, so we'll just kind of see how this all shapes out. We've gotten our first commit, a 4-star left tackle. That just lets me know we were able to bounce back. You can see there are more players that want to transfer, though. Even with our championship contender rising, a lot of our defense is at risk at the moment. I always found that deal breaker kind of funny because we stink, because these guys stink, and then us stinking makes them want to transfer out, but it's their fault. Easiest way to place the blame on somebody else. We let up 41 points against Akron, so our defense is actually playing that bad. They give up 4 touchdowns with no picks, but we responded back with Jared Batts out there instead of Ronnie Bale. No wonder we went on a losing streak. Our star quarterback has broken ribs, and then the guy behind him that just won against Akron got injured that week, so we're dealing with all sorts of injuries for the next few weeks. This is not ideal for playing Northwestern. We're going to have to use our third-string quarterback. And do you know who our third-string quarterback happens to be on this roster? It is freshman Nate Hope, the only 2-star player I signed in last year's class just so we would have an extra QB. If you think I have any hope going into this game, you've lost your mind. I genuinely could not think of a worse situation for us. To even be in this game, we have had to play absolutely perfect defensively. We've only given up 7 points. AJ Turner gets through the hole, stiff arms a kid, and we might actually score our first touchdown here in the third quarter. Maybe we do stand a chance against the Wildcats. They're that bad. AJ Turner is seriously carrying us right now, especially since we have loads of visits here this week, but guess who got down the field and who's going to score a touchdown? It's no longer looking too good for us. We're trying to run screens and RPOs. On 3rd and 10, AJ Turner with a chance to cut up field. That gets us a little bit closer to somehow pulling off the shocker against them. And look at that, we're now inside the 10. There are too many options for my liking, though. I just feel like once AJ Turner graduates, we might need to change up the playbook a little bit. And if we don't pick this up, I don't know if we go for it on 3rd and goal. We're trying to wait for our slant to get open, and that was a great pass. But since we missed it, I think what we're going to do is we're going to kick our 3. We're actually going to go to this angle because I feel like it helps a little bit more at these angles. And we're only down by 1. That just makes it much more possible for us to win this one. We've gotten them to a 3rd down, and they're not going to pick it up. With a good punt return and us continuing to drive it down the field from there, we're in field goal range. But that's not enough for me. We have to get a couple more first downs. See, at some point, they have to start calling timeouts. You can see that Minnesota skyline in the background. Our blocks were not there. And so, unfortunately, we're just going to have to kick a field goal. And I missed it. I missed it. This cannot be how we're about to lose to Northwestern. We're going to stop the run, make them lose yards. I genuinely cannot believe I just shanked that kick. There's no way that they're passing the ball here. The computer would normally never do that. They're breaking a tackle, though. And honestly, I just feel like we got to bring the pressure here. They're going to hand it off, which was fine. We could still win this visit week with a 3rd-string quarterback that's a 60 overall. All we have to do is drive into field goal range and not have an awful attempt. I'm honestly stunned Northwestern's even let us get to this point in the first place. We don't have timeouts, though. So it's actually a good thing we didn't catch that ball there. On 3rd and 10, I can't stand man-to-man coverage, but it's fine. With the current team that we have, our receivers are honestly just not that great, so they're most of the time not going to beat it. That could have also been an absolute nightmare for us. We have to get the first down. If we're short, we're in trouble. That at least stops the clock. We're going to try and find our running back for another huge gain. That would have helped us a lot. Instead, this meter shaking all over the place, and we're going to lock in for a second. I hope there's enough power on it because that should be in. Freshman kicker David DeLauro stepped up when we needed him the most. I wasn't happy about the first miss. Granted, it might have been my fault, but we bounced back. We might have to go away from running the ball so much though, just because I've started to pick up on the fact that 4-star receivers like this guy that no one else seems to want, maybe it's because he's 5'8", he cares about our playing style as his deal breaker. We must just be throwing the ball more than we typically would. You can see the visit week paid off. It has played a very big role in us just rebuilding some of our defensive back room. We also were able to get this kid from Minnesota, the 4-star halfback, to commit. But yeah, lots of defensive backs have signed with us. This guy chose Miami, but that's all right. We had another 4-star free safety just waiting for the opportunity. With the rest of this class, there's another 4-star corner we could get. There is this 5-star that Notre Dame just started going after. I don't know if we're going to be able to close the deal in time, and then we're just starting to expand our board to some of these other players and hoping for the best. As we look out at the rest of our schedule in year 2, I'm probably going to sim these next 3 games, then play against both Iowa and Wisconsin just because I want to win those rivalry trophies more than anything. I know that it matters. I know that we're not competing for a Big Ten championship, and honestly, as long as we finish above 500, I just want the chance at making it to a bowl game. By this point, we should have our starting quarterback back before we take on Michigan and Purdue, but it seems like Ronnie Bell is going to be out for 2 more weeks, which is not good news. For all I know, we're probably going to lose these next 3 games, and there's not too much I can do about it, so we got to focus on getting more depth in the transfer portal. As long as we keep on making 4-star signings, though, I'll be happy. Maybe not, though, because all that has happened is we have just continued to lose, so we really need to bounce back for these last 2 matchups. We're currently sitting at 1-6 in the conference standings. We have been so bad that we have to actually hop into them to look at us, and we're only down here with schools like Rutgers, Illinois, and Purdue. We gave Purdue their 2nd win of the year. Do you know how that feels? It's really just embarrassing. Getting a couple extra 4-star signings doesn't make me feel better. I don't even think we're going to get Tyree Hayes still, because Notre Dame could still come back in the battle. The same thing with Texas and George Moses. If I scroll through the rest of this board, there's just so much time left on some of these prospects that you don't really know how any of these are going to play out, but we also have 3 stars in case we don't get those guys. And at least our injury sheet is looking a lot lighter than it was a few weeks ago. I'm not saying that Ronnie Bell's about to fix everything because he's been missing for most of this season, but the true freshman is about to be thrown into 2 of the most important games to Minnesota fans. This first one's against Iowa, and last season when we simmed against them, we held them to 0 points, so I'm hoping that in this game we can do the same type of thing. That alone is looking like it could be enough to beat them, considering we're going into the 2nd quarter at 0-0. I will say we just haven't done that well whenever it comes to running the football. 7 carries for 10 yards, but I'm hoping that we can get in here and we have a wide open Glenn taking it into the end zone. This is a good start for the fans. Is the mascot going to turn his head? He's not going to here. I've watched him do it a lot so far. I highly doubt he also does that in real life. By the time we've gotten to the 4th quarter, all tied up at 21. And I've run like no 4 verticals so far in this video, but sometimes it just works out. We break the tackle and we're getting closer. Ronnie Bell's having himself a pretty solid day so far. He's not made any mistakes, though he would have made a mistake if I tried to throw that. Instead, we get into the end zone. And is this where Minnesota fans start to chant Sky Yuma? Sky Yuma? I know that's something that y'all do. Never mind, it is Sky Yuma. I'm doing my research. Don't want to disrespect it. I'm trying to get immersed here at the bank. I don't want to just know barely anything about the team. That's a huge throw on 3rd down, though. I would like if we could just get them off of the field. Normally, they would take that hitch route. We're getting to their quarterback, and they're going to attempt a field goal that's going to go in. I also looked up where row the boat comes from just because I was curious. I've seen it in comment sections. I've seen the paddles as they walk out in the stadium. I thought it was like an old tradition Minnesota had, but when I looked it up, it said that it all came with PJ Fleck whenever he became their head coach and their mentality. Basically, to just keep improving, to never give up. And I like the quote. I don't like this, though. I do not like inaccurate throws from our freshman quarterback for a pick 6. We cannot lose to Iowa here. I am trying to be positive. Ronnie Bell has bailed out the Hawkeyes a little bit. I mean, they have scored a lot of points against us. They're probably playing their best football. And you know what? While I'm in a bad mood, let's talk about this animation right here. I am so sick and tired of seeing this. If this was something that happened in football consistently, it would just never exist. I don't know why 3 times a game we have to see something like that. You get one of those hits maybe like every 5 to 10 games, and then whenever it happens, you sit there at your TV and you just like, you cringe. It really hurts to watch. It's tipped into another pick. I honestly thought we had a touchdown right there. We're just going through an absolute collapse. On 3rd and 12, we managed to not play the football right there, but we can still get them off of the field. On 3rd and 7, they hit us with the play action, and let's tell me that we're getting the pick. I thought he caught that. This is manageable. We score a touchdown, we win this game. Recently, I did switch up our offense to the veer and shoot, not because I'm great at running it, but because I wanted to throw the ball a bit more, and I know that it should do better for us whenever we send. We have to be able to win a lot of games with Minnesota. I could try and split the safeties here. That probably would have been an interception, though. We're just going to go underneath the Glenn on 3rd down, and that'll take us to the 42. These coach suggestions, I feel like, are not helping us out that much. I just haven't liked many of them. We're going to have to throw this one away. My main issue with the veer and shoot is I can't even see over to the other side of the field to see what's actually getting open. Thankfully, we're going to stay on our feet. If Lanier II, though, beats this guy off of the line, am I even going to be able to tell? Probably not. We're going to hit a quick little read. And now we got everybody in tight. They're going to go with man-to-man coverage. Not a smart decision whenever A.J. Turner can get loose like this. We still have one timeout left as well. We're going to just go for our tight end on that angle route. We're going to celebrate on him, and then we're going to go down at the 1. That might not make much sense to you, but Iowa had 3 timeouts left. I didn't want to give them any time to respond back, but I also was not expecting them to hold us up there. This could actually be a really bad move. We're going to go for a quarterback sneak, and we save ourselves. Ronnie Bale didn't play well in the 4th quarter, but he did score the final touchdown. And the freshman should be able to celebrate on campus after we drill this. I think it's only fair. We hit another Sky-U-Ma. Sky-U-Ma. I think they just chant it like a Sky-U-Ma. I have to go to a game at some point. Now that I'm going to start looking more into these rebuilds I'm doing, I'm getting more immersed. By the end of the season, I'm going to have like 50 teams I want to see win every Saturday. We also finally got the 3-star gym at receiver Matthew Whipple to sign. That's some good news. But what really matters for this season is whether or not we take home Paul Bunyan's axe again. This time we're headed into a hostile road environment, and we can't let them take us down. Well, I at least wish that we played a little bit better and we weren't going to let them beat us. It's currently 27-10. And I'm pretty embarrassed at the fact that that's what the score currently sitting at. They're going to recover the onside kick. But I'm still convinced we sell out to stop the run and we're in this. They had an injury timeout there, which actually really helps us. On 3rd down, they're going to scramble though, and that's going to end this game. By the time that we get it back, you can see the score. We are still down by 13 with 50 seconds left. And although Ronnie Bale is starting to figure it out as this game goes on, especially since they have sat in a lot of cover 3, it's just too late. This doesn't matter anymore, and we're probably going to throw a pick here, but we don't. Well. Could we get this onside kick and actually have some hope? We're going to beam it at them, and he scoops it up. This kid has such good hands. I did my best to try and pull off the comeback. At the end of the day, though, we're just going to have to take the axe back next season. And I'm not going to lie, going 1-3 in rivalry games this year is not too impressive. You can't stay too mad at PJ Fleck, though, because we just picked up 5-star Tyree Hay. He's still committed to our school over Notre Dame. The only real issue is we're not in a bowl game, and our championship contender grade is so low that we're about to lose a lot of guys on our defense, so we're just going to have to rebuild this team again. Even though we went away from running the football as much this season, I feel like we had about the same amount of total rushing yards, and our biggest issue offensively just came from the fact that Ronnie Bale missed a lot of games due to injury. For the ones that he played or partially played in, he wasn't that terrible. We also had much better receiving stats than last year. Though of our top 4 guys, Lonzo Glenn might transfer out, the rest of them are supposed to stay. If we head over to the conference standings and take a look here, the school that was the birthplace of college football did much worse than us, so did Illinois, but outside of that, we should not be in the same spot as Purdue. We definitely need to have better days in the future, and I think we're going to. We've only seen receivers win the Heisman Trophy this year. We just saw a 4-star commit. Maybe he's a future Heisman Trophy winner. We are going to have to find a new defensive coordinator, though. Unfortunately, we already lost ours, and we could take Northwestern's head coach. That'd be kind of funny. We also have 24 skill points to spend, so I have the ability to go down this talent developer tree, and if we have our starting quarterback gaining XP faster, I think that could be a major game changer. We could also make it so our offensive linemen progress a little quicker as well, which means we're going to do that. That's going to already happen at the wide receiver and tight end positions. But our defense isn't seeing as much quick progression, which means David Braun's going to have a hard job getting them up to par. For the 2nd season in a row, the Big Ten's had representation in the national championship game, but this time Texas took it home. And here we go. It's time to open up players leaving. We already know this is going to be a disaster. We knew that the 5-star Tony Edmond was going to enter the transfer portal. We just don't have the pro potential to retain him. What I didn't realize, though, was 3-star elite dev Sam Sopoga that we just recruited, the linebacker, is going to enter the portal as well. and we've gotten him to stay. Thank goodness. To be honest, outside of him, the rest of these guys, besides maybe this kid, they can just go. I'm not even going to try to convince them to come back. We're going to have to improve our coach prestige next year if we don't want to lose him in the future. As for the seniors that we're losing, you're looking at him. This is the only one I care about, AJ Turner. The rest of these guys, I just feel like they didn't make that much of a difference for us. I guess Elijah Palmer was that other transfer that we got last year as a 4-star. He only went up to an 85. I think this time around, I'd prefer to not go after one-year rentals unless they're going to get drafted like AJ Turner just did. This year, there's only 2 4-star transfers that are interested in actually coming to our program, halfback and quarterback. Nothing too exciting there, honestly. But that's okay to me. We still have these 4 4-star high schoolers that we need to make sure that we land, including Kareem Sisk. I didn't realize this kid was from Minnesota. It'd be the second 4-star quarterback we've gotten from the state. And then there's also some of these 3-stars that I'd still like to get as well. Then if we get over to our transfers, there are actually more options that are younger this year than last year, which is a good thing, but we have run out of hours, unfortunately, and there's a lot of tight ends that are going to be viable. I'm sure we'll get at least one. In fact, nobody's going after them after 1 week, so we're actually going to be able to get all 3 of them. I hope that that doesn't end up bugging them. It seems like they all care about playing style anyway. We're also going to remove Anthony Varner. I just don't think we're going to beat out Ohio State. As we go into the final week of recruiting, you can see that Michigan's going to take this 4-star cornerback from us. But more importantly, the 4-star transfer running back, Corey Smith, we've jumped into a huge lead on, even though he's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I have the extra hours to spend, so I'm just scouting him because I'm curious. And this kid's got 95 speed, 98 acceleration. I'll tell you this right now, we are going to have a lot of fun playing with him. If you also ever just get sick of how many of these you have to click over sometimes because you watch my videos and you're good at recruiting and you know how to get like 20 signings in a week, here's the method. Close the game, and then load back in. Now we get to just look through this list and see all the players that we signed. I don't care. This defensive tackle went to Arkansas. He's a 3-star. And then this kid, we already knew he was going to Michigan. Outside of that, we got a class of 33. Unfortunately, we didn't get any players with elite development, though. I already looked through all of them. Even Earl Pryor, he is just impact. But it doesn't matter. Apparently, this class was in the top 11 in the country. We were so close to signing a top 10 one. If I go to look at our roster, though, headed into position changes, just seeing these overalls, this team is nowhere near good. A lot of this changes, though, once we get to position changes. And here's the thing. If I start boosting up Ronnie Ball's accuracies, he's going to get real good. He's probably going to leave us, or he's just going to graduate early. So instead, we're going to spend the 61 skill points he has mainly on just increasing his speed. We've been able to get it up to 83. Even though he's a pocket passer. We could also start to work on some of his abilities. I think I'm going to have to purchase a little bit more accuracy, though, for that. And I think this is a good spot for him to be as a sophomore. The more important player to me, though, is Corey Smith. We're going to be able to get his shifty all the way up to platinum, which is just insane. It only leaves us with 6 more upgrades available, 6 skill points, but I think we should just put those in the hands and we'll be fine. Behind him is going to be Courtney Hayden, who, once again, this is not somebody that we want his overall to rise super quickly early on, which means we're just going to upgrade his quickness, and that gets him to 98 speed as a sophomore bruiser running back. Don't even get me started on Courtney Hayden. He gets the shifty ability. He also gets the sidestep ability and downhill, armbar, head first, all in one player. We also saw some cool jumps by guys like Jimmy Dove up to 96 speed for the 6'3" contested specialist. But once we get over to our tight end room, this is where I'm just lost. We have so many tight ends, and I only want to progress the younger guys. Not one of these transfers or sophomore freshmen that are going to be around by the time that we hit year 5 in this rebuild are any good. All of them have normal development, so none of them are going to end up being that great. And look at this. The fastest guy has 79 speed. By the time I got through training results, I will say that things are looking a little bit better. I was able to get Damian Blade, the sophomore cornerback with elite development, a 5-star, you remember him from last year, up to 99 speed. I really wanted to focus on this. See, here's the thing. Over the next few years, he will accumulate enough stats to upgrade his zone coverage, man coverage. We just don't want him transferring to a bigger program or going to the NFL early. If we're going to win a championship 3 years from now, I just have to be smart about all that stuff and retaining this roster. As you can see, there's only 5 players that want to leave us at the beginning of the year. This is a great way to go into season 3. Our default schedule has us playing Mississippi State again. Nothing too difficult till we have to face off against Ohio State, Iowa, USC in back-to-back-to-back weeks this year. And it's happened so quick, but we're almost getting to the point in this 5-year rebuild where where who we recruit out of high school just doesn't matter as much, and what matters more is the fact that we're able to retain these 27 sophomores, 32 freshmen, develop them, and then also use the transfer portal. The portal is just going to be our way to find better players that can develop a lot quicker than some of these high schoolers that might take like 3 years before they're ready to see the field at a high level. With that in mind, we do have this 5-star gym in Gregory Woods that I'd love to have at cornerback on our board. We also have some 4-star gyms and then other 5-stars that would be neat to sign. I'm just not going to be sweating it if we don't get these guys. Like, I'm taking no offense that a week later, these 5-stars that we put on our board have just decided that they're going to lock us out. They didn't want to come here. That doesn't really bug me. What I care about far more is these first few games of the season, especially against teams like 62 overall San Jose State, that we don't lose. That's surprisingly how these first few weeks played out, and it's got me so fired up, I actually want to hop into this game against Ohio State. This is probably a bad idea, but if we beat them and start the year 4-0, then we can do anything. And I have already noticed through a couple of these clips, there is some rain in the air, so maybe that'll throw the Buckeyes off of their game. Last week, it was Kenrick Lanier II that went off for us. But do you know who wasn't really getting open in this game for us? Him. We have been able to only score 6 points in the fourth quarter, and we're trying to send it up to the freshman receiver here who hangs on. But is Dove going to be able to do it again? He actually does, except he dropped the ball, and it still counted as a touchdown. I don't know why the game does that. To overcome this deficit, we've gone for an onside kick in the rain. It didn't work. And at the end of the day, a win here just wasn't meant to be. Hopping into that was kind of dumb, because now we have to sim against a team like our rivals, Iowa, who will most likely beat us here, even though a couple years ago, we were able to handle them. But to my surprise, after simming, we've already picked up a 4-star commit from the state of Minnesota. Our record says that we're 4-1. At the moment, there are about 12 or 13 players that might transfer. And I am always going to sim against Iowa from here on out because both times that we have done it, they've scored 0 points. Coming up on our schedule, though, we're going to be playing at number 4 USC. We're probably not winning that. Then we have to face number 23 Indiana at number 6 Nebraska. I'll play this rivalry, but it's not looking great. I just know regression's probably coming. I think it's a smart idea to schedule recruits for visits in week 8 against Indiana, just since we're not supposed to win that. And if we somehow happen to take down the Trojans here, I'm gonna be stunned. It turns out, though, when we play the now number 1 team in the country, we're probably not gonna come out on top. Not much of a surprise there, and I didn't want to hop into this game against Indiana unless they were ranked. I was actually planning on playing it since I scheduled some visits for it, but we'll just skip on over. Judging by the fact that we have gotten a couple of commits, I actually think we could have won. And we did 20-19, which means if we just win one more game this season, then we're going to be bowl eligible. This should be the first season that we make it to a bowl game, looking at the rest of our schedule. It might even be a little bit delusional, but I believe if we can take down Nebraska and win out the rest of the year, we should be able to get into the playoffs. So that sets the stakes high for this next matchup. We've actually come back into the battle on Dylan Bobo with that win against Indiana. We're probably still not going to win out on him. Arizona's got this 5-star defensive tackle locked up. Clemson has this 5-star receiver. And can I really get upset? Max Dexter, number 1 player in the country. Minnesota's just not getting him. Washington stole away this linebacker. Wisconsin was able to steal away this linebacker. And we got a couple commits, but this board is looking rough. Like I said, I'm not too worried about those signings. I'll do a lot of my work during the transfer portal period. And there is actually one thing I want to look for in Nebraska Stadium during this game. They set off balloons every time they score a touchdown, so that's pretty neat. I'm not saying that I want to let them in here, because I don't. That would be devastating. In fact, I would have loved to pick there. But at some point, it would be cool to see it. We're facing off against Dylan Raiola as a senior, so he never left Nebraska. We're going to be able to complete this 3rd down. And the stakes of this game are so high for us, we're going to cut it up and make it a 4th and 2. We got Platinum Shifty on Corey Smith for a reason. He needs to be the man for us this year. It looked like we should have kept that. So they stopped us, and ever since that moment, everybody's only been able to score field goals until this touchdown run right here. Now, I'm looking around in the stadium. I'm trying to see these balloons going up. But apparently, I got impatient, and it's just a B-roll clip that you actually watch inside the game. They don't do it in the stadium everywhere. You know, I was going to say, I feel like such a casual for not knowing that they do that on their first touchdown. But then again, think about my age. When has Nebraska been relevant since I've been on this planet? The answer to that is they haven't. We're going to use Ronnie Bell's newfound speed, and our drive down the field continues. I think we could highball this pass right here and get another huge gain, which gets us into the end zone. We got a tie game in the 4th quarter. We could take down number 15, Nebraska. I think we picked up that tight end, Julian Johnson, in the transfer portal as well. On 3rd down, they had to go underneath. You're not going to get the first. I would really love to see some huge plays out of Smith, though. We're going to get him out in that open field. and he's not going anywhere. You know, as excited as I was about Shifty, I feel like it is most effective in online against players, not really against the CPU. It's just a great way to make a lot of user tackles miss. We have spaced out their defense just to hit our check down here. And you can see what we're doing with the clock. We've worked it down to 3 minutes left. They shoot in that gap. We have Heisman Shifty. You best believe we are about to run a speed option to Corey Smith. We're going to pitch him out in the open space, and we're going to let this kid go to work. He can basically go anywhere right now, not around him. And these injury timeouts in the final few minutes normally just end up costing me time. They make it so much harder to close out games like this because they just seem to happen so often. But there is that Shifty and the speed going to work. We are stunting on Nebraska right now. I mean, he's hitting it. And all I can ask for is one stop. On 4th and 2, Dylan throws it. We're going to click off so I don't miss that tackle. The senior quarterback is trying to clutch up and be a hero here. Buddy, you're not Patrick Mahomes. Okay, maybe he is. I have a feeling if they get in here, they're probably going to go for the 2-point conversion. We watched everything underneath, but interestingly enough, they just want to take it to overtime. I think we still take a chance, though. Just throw up this ball and see if we can take ourselves into field goal range, because it is possible. I would like an extra yard or two before attempting a kick, so we're going to dive on the ground, call a timeout, and that might be the best use of 9 seconds I've ever had on this game. Hang on. We got to lock in for the kick. Go ahead. Center it up, down the middle. Hit it with our sophomore kicker, and this is how you beat number 15 Nebraska. It's going to be a quiet stadium here. They were not expecting us to pull that one off. Honestly, I can't believe that we just pulled off a 9-second drive either. That moment alone has made this season. I know that for a lot of these recruits, we're not going to win. But we still have one more game this season we can hop into, and if we win 4 more, we're in the playoffs. As for our recruiting board, over the course of a few more weeks, you're going to see that Michigan got the right guard like we predicted. Both of the 5 stars didn't choose Minnesota, but we still got out of this with 4 or 5 4-star players. Not a bad haul. It's not the 13 we signed last year, but there's still the transfer portal period, and going into it, we're going to be in a good spot, especially if we win these final 2, though I am disappointed we lost by 22 to Maryland. We really could have ended this season 10-2. Instead, I'm shooting for 9-3. And with a 6-point dub over the Fighting Illini, we've worked our way up to number 19 in the polls. Just like that, there is hope again that we could get into the playoffs. There are 12 teams above us that have 2 or less losses, which isn't a great thing, especially since we seem to be at the bottom of this 3-loss tiebreaker. But you know how this goes. We beat Wisconsin. We're in a pretty good spot. Last season, we should not have lost this rivalry. This is our chance to redeem ourselves. With a few minutes left, we find ourselves only down by 1, but we have the ball. We're driving down the field, and I'm expecting this halfback screen to go for some big yards here, but it didn't. I really don't want to settle for a field goal on this drive. The pitch is going to go behind us, though. Thank goodness we've been able to scoop this up and somehow get positive yards. Corey Smith might have just saved the day for us. We're going to hit our slant. We're going to be in the end zone with Jimmy Dove. And more importantly, on the 2-point conversion, I think we're going to have that as well. Last week against Nebraska, we really struggled to get them off of the field at the end of the game. But FIU Dynasty has prepared me for moments like this where I've been playing a lot more defense. On 4th down, we make sure they can't catch it. They have been able to hold us to a field goal, but if we just drill this, then the game is going to be over, which we do. That is how you close out a rivalry. You take back that axe because this time it's ours. I'm going to admire another trophy in our trophy room, though for winning the $5 bits of a broken chair rivalry against Nebraska, I guess there's not a trophy for it in the game, which is a little bit disappointing. From my limited research on that rivalry, it was like created out of thin air in 2014. The social teams went back and forth on it. They came up with this trophy, a $5 broken chair basically, and then that became the official trophy for it. That rivalry literally came from just a bet on Twitter. It's crazy how stuff like that can be born. I'm looking through these players that are going to threaten to transfer at the end of the season. There's not that many. I mean, a lot of guys don't like our playing style, but I don't understand why. We have been able to crack ourselves into the top 18. It's not going to be good enough to earn a playoff spot, unfortunately. We're just below all these other 9-3 teams, including Nebraska, who we beat. It'd be much easier if we somehow had a spot in the conference championship, but we lost 3 conference games. Most of our wins from out of conference really contributed to us having this good of a record. And for this being a 5-year rebuild challenge, I have 2 seasons left to win it all with PJ Fleck in Minnesota. I'm starting to become a believer that it could actually be possible, though. Kenny Minchie ended up transferring to Tennessee, winning the Heisman Trophy with them. What bowl game did we get, though? We're playing North Carolina and Bill Belichick. Even if he doesn't have Tom Brady anymore, even if he's not with the Patriots, I think I'm more terrified of him now than then. My man is like 80 with Jordan Hudson on his side. He's probably feeling better than ever, in the best mood possible, and we have to go up against that and face him. Though we are getting the Duke's Mayo Bowl, It would be so funny if they actually put the Mayo celebration in the game. This was actually the most recent bowl game that Minnesota won in real life as well. PJ Fleck's already been dunked in that white stuff once. He is ready to get covered in it again. On 3rd and 10, we're coming close, but we did not get enough, so we're just going to have to hand this off, hope that our offensive line holds up, and that's why you get shifty. It took me a while to get used to it again, but yes, it is OP to have. And that's why I am a little bit embarrassed that we choked away our 14-point lead. As you can see, we are now tied at 21. The Tar Heels came out of nowhere. They scored another touchdown, and what did I say? This is why I was terrified of them. But that was such a bad pass. I literally had that directed towards the sideline, and it still went nowhere near there. On 3rd down, we're going to come a bit closer. But we are going to need a good 4th and 2 play, and just a dump off to our running back should have worked. I can't stand whenever these guys just act brain dead. That should have never happened. On 3rd down, I can't cover both of those routes. That's going to seal it. Gio Lopez has stayed with the Tar Heels, and it pays off for them. We just blew a 14-point lead, gave up 21 points in the 4th quarter to lose this game. Unfortunately, there's no Mayo dunk celebration at the end of this, though. That's something I would like to see in this game as they continue to be able to expand things with it and build more on it. Ronnie Bale has set the Minnesota single-season passing yards record, though. Wasn't expecting that. What a stud he is. Also, career sacks record goes to Riley Sunram. I'm not sure how he pulled that off. He only had 6.5 sacks this past season. There's no way. This has got to be a bug. How would Minnesota's career sack leader only have 7 total sacks throughout their career? This just can't be right. Even for passing yards, for us to have 3,252 and that be a record, I feel like that's kind of crazy as well. I 100% believe that one is legit though. We only completed 50% of our passes. At least we only had 6 interceptions. On the rushing side of things, Corey Smith almost went for 1,000 yards on almost 200 carries. He was getting fed. Jimmy Dove was our best receiver as a sophomore. It's nice to know that he'll be sticking around for a while. The same thing with Emmett Traynor, the freshman. All around, I'm pretty happy with how this season unfolded. It seems like our conference prestige should still be high enough to where those 2 quarterbacks don't transfer. I don't know what's up with this bar that's like non-existent. I have caught that a couple times now, though we are still facing the risk of these 9 players leaving. We finished ranked 21st this season. The Big Ten had the champion with USC beating Texas. And of the guys that actually want to transfer out, it looks like Jared Batts. He wants to leave because of playing time. As a quarterback, I can understand that. We're not going to convince him to return. I'm going to try to convince each one of these players to come back since only 6 are actually transferring. And even though we failed 4 of those, to have success getting Eric Tolbert back, I'm not sure what he was upset about. I guess our playing style wasn't good enough for him. To be able to get him back and then also this tight end, I feel like that's a pretty big win. When it comes to graduation, we're going to lose a guy like John Nestor. We're going to lose a guy like Kenrick Lanier II, who got up to a pretty high overall as a receiver, but nothing too drastic. From this point forward, these final 2 years are 2 chances for us to actually compete for a championship. I feel like we're going to put our roster in a decent enough spot to make that happen. We're up to a 3.5-star team prestige, but look at our options in the transfer portal. I can't believe that we only have 4 guys to go after. What is this? This is actually horrendous. The transfer portal continued to stay good for me whenever I was at FIU, but this looks terrible. I'm just confused. Why do we have such limited transfer options? Our school grades have even gone up in recent memory. This just doesn't really add up. We are hoping to get Rocco Franco just to give us another option at running back. He has shifty, 93 speed. But even after hard selling on him, there's no guarantee that we're going to land him because Clemson is coming up close, and then also Ohio State's just taking away Dylan Lee. I really thought that during this transfer portal period, we were going to make all sorts of signings. Instead, we come out of it with 7 4-stars. It's definitely about quality instead of quantity. It's the worst class that we've had since I've come to Minnesota. I'm not sure how much we needed a great class there, but I'd at least hope at the end of this next season that we can sign a lot of transfers just to fill the holes that we're most likely going to have. Where was this one ranked? 112. That does kind of make sense though. I might even decide that I want to move one of these guys over to another position because I just feel like that would make the most sense. We can't have 3 great running backs. Unfortunately for all of them though, they're just going to regress so much no matter where I put them. So I have decided that we're just going to move Rocco Franco over to tight end. We're going to take the chance that he becomes a beast. Then it hit me. We did not recruit a 3rd quarterback to have on this roster. We have no one besides Ronnie Bale if for whatever reason he decides to leave because of playing time. I am going to pretty quickly just take Eric Looker, make him a quarterback so we can have an extra one on the roster. I highly doubt he's going to be good at that position. One thing I have noticed so far, just looking through all these guys, is we don't have that many seniors, especially high impact ones that are going to leave us. I think once I get through training results, our team's going to be pretty solid. Jimmy Dove has upgraded his dev trait to star. Nice to see out of him. We want to make sure he doesn't transfer after this year. So for all of these guys, honestly, I'm just going to be trying to keep their overall down for another season. We're definitely going to have some fun with Courtney Hayden though. I've been able to get downhill up to silver. We have Shifty at silver and he's now an 85 overall with his 98 speed. We could also upgrade something else in the future, but we're just going to save these 5 skill points for later. Between him and Corey Smith, who we have been able to get up to an 88 overall, I think we're going to be in some pretty good hands. We have a platinum Shifty on this kid. I also got him up to silver 360. But more importantly, what do we do with Ronnie Bale? See, I think we want to make sure that he doesn't transfer once again. So we're going to upgrade his speed. We're going to upgrade his speed. And do we do it one more time, or do we start to worry about stuff like throw power and throw accuracy? See, at some point, we're also going to want to start focusing in on some of these abilities, which is why I think it makes sense that we go the accuracy route right now, and we keep him at an 83. Then we can just tack on a couple extra abilities and call it a day. As for tight end Rocco Franco, the 93 speedster we moved over that we got in the transfer portal from running back, we're just going to hone in on these route running. I wish that there was more route running options for this tight end build besides just short and medium. I don't know why they haven't set it up that way. But what ends up happening whenever you have this physical route runner archetype at tight end is you're not able to improve their blocking at all, which is not going to be good besides pass block. That's the one thing we could increase. Either way, he's going to be a monster for us with his speed. He also gained 2 pounds this offseason. He's not that undersized for a tight end, but I still have to increase all of these other guys and go through training results for like another 60 players. Just doing that yesterday took me a long time, but it's gotten us up to an 87 overall roster. As you can see, our top 4 players, all of them are seniors. We kind of kept the overalls down on those guys that we want to return for another year. And I was able to get Sam Sopega's speed up to 93. The reason he still has 61 skill points sitting around though with his elite development is because of that coach prestige deal breaker. I do not want this kid to leave if I upgrade more stuff. There's only a couple players I've saved skill points like that on, but I want to make sure that we at least keep him just because I think he's going to be fun next season. You can see that we're projected to finish inside the top 25. I like that. Progress has been made here, and for our first game, we're just going to go up against FCS Midwest. That one should never be a challenge for us. We won 72-7. We got Bowling Green after that, and then California. I'm thinking that we start this season 4-0 before we play Nebraska. On the recruiting side of things, none of these guys are even at their top 5 yet. I literally just added 11 5-stars to our board. Like I said, we're going to use the transfer portal, if anything, to bring on players for next year's team. Those guys straight out of high school, even though I wish there were generational prospects in this game so you could have like an 88. The highest they can be is like an 81 overall, so I'm not too worried about it. Bowling Green's overall is going to be 75. Here is the problem, though, with relying on Sim and not being able to play every game. They beat us 34-7. It's not like Ronnie Bale got injured either. No, he was out there for every single snap. We just played that poorly offensively. I have to compare our roster to Bowling Green now. So we have a 90 overall. We got an 85 as our 5th best player. I guess our rosters are a little bit similar, but ours is definitely better. They just happen to have Julian Duggar at quarterback, who threw for 4 touchdowns, no picks. He's an 87 overall, and I guess we should have maxed out ours. Season 4 in a 5-year rebuild is always the least important to me, because unless we have a lot of guys transferring out, all that we're trying to do is just build for year 5, our push at winning a championship. And we've already bounced back against Cal, alongside setting the career sacks record again with someone else. I still don't get why it's as low as it is for Minnesota. We're about to play Rutgers, who's 4-0, and then 4-0 Nebraska. It might make sense to hop into both of those games. I just know we got teams like Ohio State and Oregon on our schedule later. I really don't enjoy leaving stuff like this up to Sim. I can't believe they didn't fix this in this game. We have to actually go into this screen just to see the overalls. I don't know why it always shows last week's matchup, but there are 74. That is no issue for the team that lost to Bowling Green. We ended up beating Rutgers by 9. And if we just take a quick little overview at how our class is going so far, you're going to see that we're not projected to win most of these battles. We've already been locked out by multiple prospects, but we're still pushing for as many 5-stars as we can get. I got guys on visits over the next few weeks. Of course, this one against the Cornhuskers. Being a big one. You can see that the Big Ten's got these 6 top 25 teams. No, there's 7 with Penn State, but that's about it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a lot for a conference, but I think outside of those schools, we shouldn't have many issues against the other programs. And this right here is all that we have worked for so far, trying to build up a good enough team to where we can take down Nebraska consistently. You would think if we've been able to put up 27 points so far, we're probably winning this matchup, but that's not the case. Nebraska has scored 38 points against us, and I hope that they don't end up making a play on Jimmy Dove, who has it at the 30. It is honestly ridiculous that we aren't able to stop them on defense. But at least Ronnie Bale in our offense is keeping us in this game as we don't get the 2-point conversion. That might not matter though. With 8 minutes left, we got the ball back and we've been able to drive down the field. We're going for the speed option just because when you pitch that, you can normally get like 10 yards. But it is our defense that is going to determine how we close out the game still. I would like to have a 3-point lead, which we're going to get. Julian Johnson's been making some big plays for us at tight end. But guess who's about to respond? We just aren't playing well enough defensively. We have now given up 45 points. That is not okay. Nebraska is going to press our 98 speed receiver though, except I didn't see the help that they had on the backside. It looked like the safety I was staring at the start of that play was going to come down for a second. And you can see the position that we're in. There's only a couple minutes left. They have driven down the field, but if we make sure they don't score a touchdown here, we're fine. They can't even guarantee that they're going to hit this field goal. The computer typically struggles whenever they're kicking from the hash mark. And so all of a sudden, with 2 minutes left in this game, all we need to do is score a touchdown and we win. This would drastically change the outlook of our season. Using Shifty, we're going to be able to get the first. And I don't mind going back to Corey Smith, even with a run here, because I know he's going to be able to catch this ball and probably get a lot. He's got 14 rushes, 122 yards on the ground. Their man-to-man coverage should not be able to stick with Trainer. Good throw from Ronnie Bale there. We're actually going to run the read option and not get much. That's okay, though. You see how much time we have left on the clock. All that we need is a zig route. That was the game right there. Now it's 3rd and goal. If they're running man-to-man coverage, that guy might have been open, but it's zone. And we've run it down to 2 seconds. In my experience on this game, quarterback blast is a pretty solid play. Will our offensive line hold up here? It just didn't. We have lost to Nebraska. I probably could have cut it a little bit better. I'll have to watch it back. I'm trying so hard not to get upset because I have a feeling it was my fault. So let's see here. It sucks you into a running to about right here. I guess I would have had to have a sudden cut to that right or left side, but he's filling that gap, and then that defender's going to fill the other one. It was really just a great play from their defensive line. That was really dumb to run a play I had never run before out of this playbook and then expecting it to work. We're about to have another rivalry matchup, though. We cannot lose back-to-back ones. Thankfully, we won. We've improved to 4-2, number 18 in the country. Not that many players want to leave us. But we have not been able to sign a single 5-star yet. It looks like with some of these battles, we've just lost some hope. We got locked out of this kid right here, but we could get a 5-star quarterback. I really don't mind that. It gives us a chance to have a solid backup whenever we could potentially deal with some injuries. Oregon is a 94 overall with a 99 defense, though. If we want to save our season, we honestly have to beat them and then next week take down Ohio State. But their defense has not made this easy on us. We just haven't been able to run the football. On 3rd and 9, we're going underneath because I felt like that was our best chance at picking this up. But it is so hard to get over the fact that we only have 11 points in this game. 21 rushes for 38 yards. I've been trying my best to establish the run. It is not over yet, though. We're not giving up. On 3rd down, they're just going to try and scramble here. But you're not going to be able to pick that up. Except, what is he doing? It might be time to pull a scholarship. I want to know what direction he thought he was going to run to and make a play on. I know that I typically just ignore upgrading my players' awareness stats, which could be my problem. But he had to see the quarterback running there. And now we only have 2 minutes left to come back down 8. We have some option routes on this play. He was supposed to run a curl. I guess it doesn't matter. I just made that read assuming that he was going to stop once he realized it was man-to-man coverage, and this is a bad pass. We're still going to try and take our shots down the field, though. I thought we had separation. Did we have separation? No. No, we did not. All signs are leading to me failing this first 5-year rebuild. Technically, it's not over yet. We could get them off of the field on 3rd down, but they might also be in field goal range. I swear, he's probably about to just drill this one from 58, but if he misses, that opens up an opportunity. Okay, so the last time I ran 4 verticals, it didn't really work, but we're going to go back to it here. and they had some match coverage going on. Or maybe it was just some straight cover 2-man. We're about to route up that kid, though, and put us inside the 20. If they give us man-to-man coverage again, there's definitely a chance here. Our running back was getting caught all up on the line, and that's inbounds. I really thought that we'd get to the marker in time. We got to have enough time to get off this final play. I'm spamming it. All right, last chance. Tight ends, open. Is it going to be a good enough throw? It's caught. We're not out of this. Now, if they had a decent defensive back, I think he should have made a play on it, but it's all good. I'm going to try something here. We're going to motion over Jimmy Dove. I just want to take away the chance that he could get off of that block here. We're going to run our speed option, and they played it. That is now 2 games this season where we have been so close to taking down a top 10 team, and then we fall short. See, I probably could have waited another half a second to pitch this year, but I've been doing that in FIU and just fumbling the ball in that series. That is literally so unfortunate. We might be better off just simming the rest of our games, but I will also play on the road at Ohio State. I don't really think this is going to go our way, but we'll see how it plays out. And look at the position that we find ourselves in, where they just scored a touchdown. With only 2 minutes left, I ran commit. I thought they were going to try and run the ball 3 times and we had a chance of getting a stop there. But since we didn't, we are now down by 9 points and we have to score extremely fast without using any of our timeouts. This should pan out though. I'm really just looking for the big plays at the moment, like right here over the middle. We'll take that one. As we try and pull this off, time is going to be very important to us. I wasn't quite sure who was on our corner route there, and we dropped the ball. Whenever you play in the rain, you always run into that type of stuff. This time, though, we're able to cut it up, and should we just kick our 3 now? I don't know. I just feel like if we take our 3 now, that still keeps our hope at coming back in this game. Though if we score a quick touchdown, that's also fine. But apparently we didn't get in there, so we just got to take this across the goal line real quick, and there we go. If I could pull off this comeback, I think this would make up for the other 2 games that we've lost this season. Obviously, we're on the level where we can keep things competitive against these big schools. But winning them has been a whole other ball game, and their first carry's going for no yards. If they decide to throw the ball on 2nd and 10, we're in a lot of trouble. They just hit us with an RPO. They're running us over as well, by the way. We might as well let them get in and see if they missed the extra point for whatever reason. Why did the computer have to get so smart this year? I'm gonna be honest, last year I completed so many comebacks because 1, they'd press in the final few seconds, and 2, if they had the ball with a lead under 2 minutes left, they would run 3 straight run plays. You just run commit, and then they'd punt it back to you. That doesn't work anymore for me, which is why you're seeing our season slowly fall apart. A couple of 5-star signings isn't going to get me excited. What I'm worried about is the players that are going to threaten to transfer soon. I can't hop into any more games this season, and I know there are players that care about championship contender. We just can't see them at the moment because it's not at risk. I can guarantee it will be, though, if we lose a couple more games. We're about to face 7-2 Michigan State, and honestly, I can't even bear to see what happens in these final 4 weeks, so we're just going to skip over all of it. From the looks of it, we finished 5-7. We lost to the Spartans. We lost to UCLA. We even lost by 3 points to Wisconsin. And that leaves me with 1 season to turn Minnesota into a championship contender. I feel like we should have done a lot better than this. If we look at the injury report, we did lose Rocco Franco, our super fast tight end, so that could be part of it. He has a complete ACL tear, so he's out for next season as well, but he had 93 speed. I wanted to use him. If you paid attention to it last year, every single time that you click advance week, that is 1 week that it counts for injuries. So realistically, that will keep him out for the rest of his career, not up until the start of next season. That is really frustrating to see, actually. Ronnie Bale still hasn't had any great years for us, but he's not going to transfer out, which is very important. Corey Smith couldn't even hit 1,000 rushing yards. And look at George Moses with his 1,000 receiving yards, the first one we have had in this video, but I wanted Jimmy Dove to be our best receiver. Based off of the upgrades that we get, he might be next year anyway. Heisman Trophy winner goes to San Diego State. And I didn't even check how many of these battles we actually ended up winning. It looks like we only got 3 of those 5 stars. Now, I could go into our coordinator tree and fire these guys, hire in some tacticians, but unlike last year, I can't just find coordinators to hire that have the tactician tree maxed out, which boost up all of our stats. Instead, I have to hope that with PJ Fleck and his very limited coach points that we've acquired throughout playing through this, that we can boost up some of our stats that way. What I've kind of realized is I need to create a new head coach if I wanted to go mainly down that. We have Miami winning the championship over Clemson. My Kentucky Wildcats are getting to the semifinals. But here is all of the players that are going to threaten to transfer, and there's nothing I can do about this now. This is not good. This is our entire roster and starting lineup I have been building up because I wanted to keep them around. I don't know why we're transferring because of playing style, Because are they aware that we literally just threw for like 4,000 yards? You have that, then you have all these players graduating. This might be the best roster that we ever get with Minnesota. I was able to convince Cross Nimmo to stay, which is good news because this is going to have to be our starting tight end. And we also got Javon Queen to stick around as well. He has 41 skill points to spend, and then he'll have his off-season training boost with Star Dev as well, even though he's just a 67 at the moment. Eric Looker at quarterback is hilarious, by the way. This kid wants to transfer because of pro potential. He is awful, though. He was our running back that we moved over here. I boosted up his accuracy. He still has 34 throw power. I'm sorry, but he is just not going to be a good pro for anybody. We might as well try and get a couple of these offensive linemen back as well. I think with our final persuasion, we're going to fail another, so this is pretty disappointing. That season really just needed to go better than it did, especially since we ended up putting 4 players onto the NFL draft. And I am just going to take a glimpse at our roster before we go through our final recruiting period. I don't know why the seniors that graduate or leave end up staying on this screen, but everyone else on this screen is going to be on your team next season. You know, especially when I start to look through some of our defensive backs, knowing that these guys have high dev traits, I'm feeling pretty solid about that group on our team. They're going to be really good, but we definitely have some missing pieces that we're going to have to fill. I just don't know how many options we're going to get. Like a defensive tackle, a 4-star would be incredible, but a lot of these players seem to be halfbacks, which we don't need. Like I expected, options ended up being pretty limited, nothing on the offensive line or even at the quarterback position, which we actually do need. If we end up going through some injuries, I really don't want to have a 2-star quarterback out there on the field for us, but I don't know if we're going to be able to come back on Josh Demons. Even then, he'd be like a 3-star as a 70 overall. It's just not looking great. At least we're able to sign transfer Dion Mustard. I'll probably play him at free safety. Good little name for this Minnesota program. He fits our color scheme, but we ended up getting locked out of the 4-star defensive tackle that would have been nice to have on our line. And for the rest of these players, even this quarterback, I'm not sure I really care if we get them. Out of nowhere, we actually lost out on the running back, which is fine with me. We already knew that we had a couple other guys back there that could play for us. We shouldn't have gotten this 2-star quarterback. He's just going to bring down our team overall, and I have been really disappointed with how the transfer portal has looked the past couple seasons. Who you can go after must be tied to pipelines, because it's not looked like that whenever I've been doing this at FIU. Josh Demons is coming in as an 80 overall quarterback, though? Okay, that was a gem. He was only a 3-star. We've apparently found a great backup in case Ronnie Bale, for whatever reason, gets injured. That's got me feeling a little bit better. I don't know why Ronnie Bale's playing time is at F right now for his deal breaker. That's got to be some sort of glitch. We're about to use his 43 skill points to completely max out his accuracy. And I know this is going to sound kind of dumb. I don't know why I'm going to do this, but we are actually going to increase his awareness since we have to sim a lot of these games, and awareness affects how these guys play in sim. We did never get around to any of these abilities, but he is going to be a 93 overall. And for being a 2-star quarterback, getting up to a 76 with Nate Hope has kind of been a fun journey. Then we have Courtney Hayden. We could end up maxing out his speed, but I don't think we're going to do that. We're going to increase his elusiveness. I've been looking at these abilities. It'd be nice to get something like downhill upgraded farther. We just can't. Break tackle has been maxed out, but then there's this cheap stuff like route running. I don't mind getting that up a little bit more. His IQ would probably help him a lot in sim just because the ball carrier vision. But at the end of the day, he's up to an 89 overall. It's time for us to get shifty and get shifty up to platinum, because if we're going to have someone with 98 speed, we want to have some fun. Then we have guys like Jimmy Dove. We've already gotten him up pretty far. We're actually going to work on this 50-50 jump ball ability, platinum, just because I want to throw up a lot of balls to this kid, but we also are going to max out his route running as much as we can. Even though he is the most overpowered, he is just one of the many receivers, honestly, all of these guys, that we're going to be able to spread the ball around to this season. I'm very happy with how this has turned out. You can really take some of these guys' stats to a whole other level in just one off season. Look at how much we've been able to boost up stuff like catching and route running. On the tight end side with Rocco Franco, I'm not seeing anything about his injury popping up at the moment, but I know that he's injured, so I can't get too excited about upgrading him because he shouldn't be playing for us. It's okay though, because guys like Cross Nemo that didn't end up transferring, or even this kid that I just got up to an 80 overall, can still be a decent tight end for us. And I didn't realize it at the time, but Griffin Bates is someone I've just forgotten about because he has 116 skill points to spend, but apparently he doesn't have that many skill caps. That was the biggest letdown of all time with this offensive line. He's still going to have 75 left and only be a 70 overall by the time that we're done with him. It's the same way for our left tackle as well, Tobias Needles. I just can't spend the 42 skill points that he was able to acquire during the offseason. It's a little bit unfortunate for our left tackle position, but as we scroll through the rest of these offensive linemen, we have a 94 overall. We also have a pretty solid offensive line at other positions. And over on the defensive side, we had 100 skill points on the dot to spend with Sam Sopego. We have been able to get him up to 93 speed before this season. That was all I focused on until this year. Now we've been focusing on run stopping, pass coverage. We saved some skill points up. And so this kid literally went from being like a 70 overall this season to now being a 96 with some great abilities, and I'm hoping this can make a huge change for our defense. I know you all have to remember me getting him signed. The same thing we've kind of done with Javen Queen. There just weren't that many guys that I saved skill points on, but for the 3 to 4 that I did, it's been worth it. The strategies I've used whenever it comes to player development have even worked on guys like Damian Blade. You know that I've been maxing out his quickness for the longest time. Well, now we can actually work on his coverage stats, and he's going to be a 96 overall corner with 99 speed. At the end of the day, our roster is only going to have 5 guys above a 90 overall as we go into this final season, but I think we have enough depth and enough good starters that we should make it to the playoffs. Especially because with our overall updated, we're up to a 96. If we didn't have this 59 overall 2-star quarterback, we'd probably be higher as well, but I'm about to cut some players and see if we can get to a 99. This isn't something that should change your team overall, but it does. I've also noticed that for whatever reason, whenever you go like position by position, it doesn't always sort by overall correctly, like right here. I don't know why that is. Anyway, we didn't have that much roster depth, so I couldn't cut too many players, but we are still going to be able to boost up 2 more things. I don't think our receivers need any help. I think we should work on our defensive backs and see if we unlock more coach points throughout the year. We're going to come in as a 97 overall team. This is the schedule that it was already defaulted to. It looks like we got a really easy non-conference slate. That first game I'm going to want to hop into will most likely be against Nebraska again. I feel like this is the same schedule we just played, though. It's definitely very similar. This is year 5 of my Minnesota rebuild. I said I wanted to see if a 5-year rebuild was possible. It's championship or bust. We're not even projected to be a top 25 team, and I feel like our school grades have not gotten any better. I also went to check the injury report, and there's no one on there, so we've been able to recover from tearing our ACL with our tight end. I guess they fixed it, which was broken last year. That's actually really good news, because that bug annoyed me so much. It was just set up to where you could have career-ending injuries off of stuff that normally wouldn't be career-ending. Now we get to use Rocco Franco with his 93 speed, 96 excel. Here's the thing though, if we lose any of these first 4 games in Sim, especially against a team like Bowling Green who beat us last year, then all of a sudden we're going to be in a lot of trouble that we can't overcome. Thankfully, with the healthy roster, we're going to take them down 38-17. And could this be the year that Ronnie Bale, my bad, I've probably said that wrong this whole video. Could this be the year that Ronnie Bale wins the Heisman? I don't think so if he's thrown for 1 tutty and 1 interception versus them. It's certainly not the best stat line in the world, but you can see some of these other teams that we're facing. These first 4 games should be cake. I know that we have a 97 overall team and everything, but I'm actually really impressed that we only gave up 17 points max through the first 4. We're 4-0 going into our matchup against Nebraska. And that's kind of how we expected to start this year, but we're in the Big Ten. Like half of these schools are still going to be undefeated as we go into conference play. We already took down Purdue, but the Cornhuskers are one of those schools that beat us last year. And that is something I have not forgotten about. We are going to get our revenge. See, the fun part about having a 98 speed guy that has platinum 50-50 is you're just going to be able to throw that ball up to him and make some sick grabs. Anytime that we won, I'm pretty sure that Jimmy Dove just isn't getting stopped. We also have a 93 speed tight end. And moving him over from running back was the best choice we could have ever made in this game. Do you know what a great offense isn't going to save, though? Our defense, if they can't get a stop against the Cornhuskers. Everyone continues to score like we do again. And eventually, especially in the second half, offenses just seem to slow down a lot more, which has worked out for us. We're going to give our really fast running back a halfback toss here, and he's going to just juke his way into the end zone. I also think it's fun to use our 99 speed cornerback just because he can get to everything. We have now forced them to a 4th and 13 where if they don't pick this up, they're going to be out of this one. But it just took me off of him. It made me run to the back of the end zone there. I should have never clicked on. I should have known that this would happen, that they'd make it close here at the end. But guess what? It doesn't matter. We're still getting the first. At any moment in this game, I could just send it up deep. I've not done this in a long time. but we do it here, and guess who's in the end zone? Jimmy Dove is going to help us close this one out. I'm feeling pretty confident about this team as long as we make it to the playoffs. It really is just a cheat code to have a player like him on our roster, but you never know when we could lose one of these matchups, and it has hit me that we haven't played Michigan or Penn State, some of our other rivals, in a long time, which does really stink. We're just never going to have the chance to win those rivalry trophies in this video. Ronnie Bell has set the Minnesota single-game passing yards record, though, against Northwestern, and he has also set the career passing touchdowns record. I told you that this guy would be a legend for us. Wait. There's another pop-up as well. Troy Casey has set the single-game sacks record. I mean, we're just changing Minnesota football culture at the moment. We have also seen that he had 5 sacks against them. All of this being pretty encouraging stuff, besides the fact our defense gave up 40 points to the Wildcats. But let's go ahead and see how many passing yards he had. 494. I was hoping to maybe see him in the Heisman Trophy race, but that is currently being dominated by Tennessee. I also just cannot get over the fact that our defense is not playing well. We have a 99 overall defense, and they just let us lose to Rutgers. We gave up 34 points to them, giving them their 3rd win of the season. We have to hop into these 2 road games against these big programs. And if we can pull those off, then we still are going to have a pretty good shot at making the playoffs. The Buckeyes are one of those teams that match up with our roster on paper, though. They're 95 overall. And I feel like anytime I play at this stadium, whether it's in the FIU series, whether it's just for this video, stuff always seems to go wrong. Fortunately for us, as we head into the final play of the 3rd quarter, we're in a solid spot. We're up by 7 points with the ball. We're just going to hit Franco underneath to the 2. And we might just go back to him for a touchdown as he is left wide open. Ohio State spent a lot of time trying to drive down the field against us as well. They're going to have a laser on 4th and 8, which they did. They're going to be at the 2, which did result in a touchdown. But there's only 3 minutes left, so if we can just hang on to the football here, I would like to think that we'd be okay. We got them to bite with the play action, but we didn't get it out. What did I say? Every single time that we play in this stadium, something just doesn't go right for us. It's going to be 4th and 4. And we have pass commit. I'm over here, usering on this side. It looks like they're going to have the drag underneath. But even though I shaded underneath, I pressed. Nobody decided to guard it, and they're going to leave it open there again for a split second. Now they're able to run to the 1. Honestly, it might just be best if we send in a blitz. We stop them. And I need to figure out how to route commit on this game, because I think if I could route commit to a drag, then maybe it would leave some of that underneath stuff not as open. I'm not going to be able to figure it out before this 4th and 5, though, so I'm just watching everything underneath myself. And why are we not guarding him? Even worse, they're going for the win. They're going for this 2-point conversion. It was going to be a little bit of a boot anyway, and no one's sticking on that guy. Wait. Why didn't he just scramble in? I mean, I wasn't 100% paying attention. I was trying to watch the other side, but he had to have had an open lane there, and we just got bailed. I feel so blessed right now. We have gotten a win in a close situation. We are so back with Minnesota, but I think they should have had that. All right, so let's watch this back. They're going to have just the widest of lanes ever. My user goes across the field. He steps up and runs right here. That's the clearest touchdown of all time. And then he just turned. I don't understand why he did this. I mean, he could have easily won the game. Normally, whenever stuff doesn't work in this game, I get pretty frustrated, but this is the one time where actually having a problem is a good thing for us, because we're not in the top 25 yet, despite getting that win on the road. That is right. For whatever reason, even though we are 7-1 and we're in the Big Ten playing against a tough schedule, there is zero respect for Minnesota. And so we're also going to have to take down Oregon to hopefully earn some back. Playing this one on the road, though, I know that we're going into a pretty tough environment. But here's the thing. You saw how we've been able to handle these games so far, and we shouldn't have that much of an issue. We come out very strong offensively. We're going to use an RPO to get a little bit closer. And even though most of our offensive line is built upon pass blocking, I trusted them there. Up until the final few minutes, we have been cruising through this one, able to maintain our lead. We're not going to get the 3rd and 8, though. And so I shamelessly have to say, at one point, it was 31-10, and they just got a chance to make this one 31-all. Closing out games on College Football 26 hasn't been my specialty. But look at how Oregon is handling this. They just ran it twice in a row, and we're going to let them get into the end zone with 34 seconds left. That makes it official. We did blow our huge lead against them, but I feel like we got a cannon and a fast receiver that can take the top off of their defense. Ronnie Bale is actually a stud. That was an incredible throw from him. We're trying to get a little bit more. Really, it's all just been about burning through their final couple of timeouts. And with a field goal here, I've taken care of my part of the season. I've won the big games that we needed to. Now, what we have to rely on is our team to win the rest of these games in sim. That result right there is going to launch us up to number 20 in the polls, but look at how many schools above us only have one loss at the moment. This is what is keeping our ranking down. We also have no guarantees we're going to be in the conference championship game because I don't know what the tiebreaker is going to end up being. I am very nervous to sim these final three, but our first one against Michigan State is going to result in a 34-12 win, but to end the season, we have two rivalry games that we have to play, and you know both of these schools are going to be looking to ruin our year. The first one being Iowa on the road. They're a 79 overall team. We should have the edge here. Every time that we have simmed against the Hawkeyes, I feel like we've held them to like 0 points. I wasn't really paying attention to last year's result, but there it is. They only scored 9 on us and we get another win. If you look at the conference standings though, I don't know how to tell who would be in the conference championship game. I mean, we have the tiebreaker against Ohio State. We have the tiebreaker against Oregon. But all of that goes out the window if we can't take down 5-6 Wisconsin. I gotta say, this is a lot better than I was thinking it would go. I thought it might be tight. We won 45-17. Ronnie Bale had a pick, but he also threw for 4 touchdowns. And he never ended up in the Heisman watch list like some of these Tennessee players, but their quarterback has thrown for 5,364 passing yards, so it's kind of understandable. I mean, Jamerson Parker might actually break the single season receiving touchdowns record this year. I've never seen the computer put up numbers this amazing. And his 34 receiving touchdowns is more passing touchdowns than Ronnie Bale has had. Courtney Hayden's clearly been getting a lot of good work though. Over 1,000 rushing yards for him, 13 rushing touchdowns. We also have George Moses, who should be a 1,000-yard receiver next to Jimmy Dove as well. We just need to get into the playoffs first, but I don't think we're in the Big Ten Conference Championship, which really stinks. We did not have the tiebreaker there. Jamerson Parker got an extra touchdown. I guess he played in the SEC Championship. What is our spot in the playoff going to be? We get Colorado State in the first round? You know, I don't think I can complain about this at all. It's basically like we get a bye, though I'm a little bit confused. The box around the teams is supposed to show up for automatic qualifier, but both Clemson and Miami have a box around them. They can't both win the ACC Championship. I mean, they played each other and the Hurricanes won by a lot of points, so we're going to face the team that we should probably prefer. But in order for that to happen though, we still have to beat Colorado State, who is a 66 overall. No matter what ends up happening, Minnesota fans, you have to be at least somewhat happy with me. I've got you back to glory. I've gotten you inside the playoffs. These 5-year rebuilds are a challenge, especially when you leave some stuff up to sim. Look at where we're at in this game. I hope I didn't wait too long to come in and actually help this team figure this out, because it shouldn't be close. It's actually really embarrassing that they've been able to hold our team to just 7 points, but we're going to change that very fast. On a 3rd and 4, they're just going to hand this off, but we're filling the gap. And I just have a feeling that no matter who they have out there at cornerback, if I wanted to do this, I probably could and score on every single play, which I think I could, which is why I ended up simming most of this game, because I wanted it at least to have like a little bit of a fair chance to Colorado State. I didn't want to cheese it. We're definitely going to have to play more of the games in the upcoming weeks though, because at the moment they are still driving down the field and they're not out of it. If they get a field goal out of this drive, that's going to put the pressure on us, and we could have picked it too. I'm really not worried though, even though I'm giving this home crowd a little bit of a scare. I want to be able to have my fun with this offense, especially against a defense that's not going to be able to stop us. I didn't build up this team to the level that I did for us to only play against big schools. I want to be able to run up the score against some of these smaller ones as well. And let's see, are we going to get a man-to-man coverage look at any moment? That'd make things simple. If they give us that, I'd be able to literally complete about any pass out there. I mean, we're in field goal range. And we are about to be headed to our spot in the quarterfinals as we get the first down. This is a weird little play that I wanted to try out at some point. I mean, look at how quick Shifty can be. That counter was actually nuts right there. It's one of the only ones I've seen work that well with the blocking. We're going to try that next week, but let's just go ahead, end this game, and see if we can keep this up against Clemson, which I think we can. I've also realized there's no reason for me to stay in Duke's playbook. I don't want to run Duke's playbook since we've already won our games in sim. Anything veer and shoot's supposed to be like one of the better ones in the game. If I go look at what Duke's record is, I can pretty much guarantee that they have finished inside the top 25. They always do. So as you can see, what did I say? They're a top 10 team. Their playbook is pretty overpowered. But at the same time, they lost to Notre Dame, so it's not like they're guaranteed all of these wins. Looking at how these playoffs are playing out, I really don't want to face Oregon either. When they started to score a lot against us in the fourth quarter, they were putting up a good fight. I just would prefer if they didn't have a second opportunity to get their revenge and take us down. With FIU's playbook, I thought I'd feel a little bit more comfortable, which I do on this third down as we're going to reach the end zone for the first time. And I guess there's some plays in here I know that are going to help us finish off drives as well, but our secret to success has really been the defense. I haven't changed up anything on that front, but ever since we were able to go ahead 10-7, this one's just kind of fell over. On 4th and 6, I mean, this one is already over, even if they do end up picking this up. It doesn't matter that they'd go on to score a touchdown. We're going to snag the onside kick, and that's it. A really boring and not too exciting quarterfinal matchup, but we still have 2 left before we can win it all. And I don't necessarily care if these playoff games are entertaining. We have one goal: win a championship. We are so close. All we have to do is take down the Hurricanes and then beat either Georgia or Michigan. But if you know anything about Miami from watching the FIU series, you would know this is a team I always struggle with. In fact, I am so sick of playing these guys because they always find a way to beat us. Now, if you thought this game was going to be a shootout, it is definitely not gone that way. We are currently in a 6-3 death match. Defenses have won this one so far, but I think if we can just come out, get around that kid, and hopefully hit this RPO to our flat, then we should be able to get into the end zone, but we are getting played. It's all right. We're going to have our other tight end rotate in over the middle here. We're going to see how that corner plays it, and this is perfect. What a touchdown. I had to pull out some of my favorite plays for this game, but it's led to us having a lead as we head into the final minute and a half. And we just need them to make one mistake. We'll be in the national championship game. That was it right there. We literally lurked them perfectly with Sam Sapoga. Now they're going to go for a drag route. And Emmett Carver has done absolutely everything besides carve our defense up in this game. Most of the time, it's been pretty chill anytime we've gotten them to a 4th down. They just punt it back to us. But with a minute left, game on the line, they're obviously not going to do that, and we're not going to play him. We're going to let him swerve around us and get into the end zone. This is not good. I'm expecting an RPO or something. But this is what happens at the end of every single game. If we don't happen to have like a 20-point lead, then we find a way to blow it. Even when we did have a 21-point lead, we blew it against Oregon. And I'm running down the clock just in case this 2nd and 10 doesn't go our way. We're going to see if we can hit our tight end on that route, and I'm going for that catch. I really wanted that to be a possession one, but I guess it worked out for us either way. We're going to throw this ball over towards the sideline, just trying to see what can we do to get a little bit extra yards. And I see over on the left side, we have a wide open Jimmy Dove. He gets off the line, he throws the ball down, and it's time to stun on this crowd. Minnesota is going to come out on top of this Rose Bowl game against the #1 overall team in the country, and PJ Fleck is 1 game away from saving Minnesota football. Tyree Hay is now taken over the Minnesota career sacks record. We're going to have to look through the record book before this final game. It has become clear to me that guys like Jimmy Dove are going to find their way into it. And whenever you think about leaving a legacy with a team, you're going to notice Ronnie Bale is in here for the most passing yards and passing touchdowns at Minnesota as a quarterback, so he's been their best QB ever. On the season side of things, I honestly thought we would have had more records than we currently do. I just can't think of a better quarterback than Ronnie Bale Minnesota's had. I am looking up these names, and forgive me for the pronunciation here, but we got Assad Abdul Khalik, Adam Weber, Ricky Foggy, Mike Hohenesse. Who are these people? I have a bad feeling leaving that in the video is going to turn into a very casual moment for me. But look at this. We got Michigan in the Natty. We have a rivalry that stands between us and getting the Gophers their first championship since 1960. The Wolverines average 40 points per game. They're going to be a 94 overall team, but you know what we have? We have some heart. We've overcome too much in this video to lose this national championship now. Legitimately, if a couple of these guys transferred away, then this wouldn't have even been possible in the first place. I probably should have just thrown that slant instead of trying to playmaker there, but give me this ball. We can catch those. We also get to run a direct snap here. I'm assuming that this should lead to a touchdown. But Heisman difficulty is no joke. Even with the most elite offense I think I've built on this game, it's got to be. We find ourselves down by 3 near the end of this first half. I also accidentally chewed a little bit too much time off of the clock here, but we're going to highball it, and that's going to allow us to go to the 1. Ronnie Bale, I don't know how good you are at quarterback sneaks, but you're going to get in here. And you know what I'm feeling in the third quarter? I'm feeling a touchdown over the middle of the field because they just don't think that they can stick with him. Rocco Franco's just one of those tight ends you have to be terrified about. I mean, he's got 93 speed. And anytime I see man-to-man coverage, it's over. That is not man-to-man coverage, is it? I hate myself. I'm so bad at this game. Michigan is going to stay in this one because I didn't look anywhere else on the field. But fortunately, as we go into the final 4.5 minutes of this one, we're still up by 5. We really just need to get them off the field on this 3rd and 10. We're going to protect the sticks. We're going to pass commit. We got players drop back, and that should not have led to a completion. But you know how the computer does it on Heisman in the final couple minutes. He's going to break another tackle. If I see any more BS like this happen at the end of the games, I'm going to hit such a high octave that y'all are just, oh, give me that. Give me that. It doesn't matter what I'm saying. Give me this. If we return this, we're going to be able to take the lead back. That sorry QB should have never tested me. All right, we're rolling out. We're not going to be able to do anything. With a championship on the line, I'm no longer having fun. I am stressed. They're shooting our run gap perfectly. And it's 3rd and 14. There's only one target I had in mind. Now, you might call this decision right here dumb. You are entitled to your own opinion, but I trust ourselves, and we're short. I don't think how this is unfolding is too much of a surprise for the people that have watched me at the end of games. I mean, they're literally just layering the ball over our defenders' heads. Keep in mind, they did not do this at any point in this game until now. The 4th quarter hits, and they just become like this unstoppable offense where, okay, 3rd down. Here we go. I have that guy manned up. It might be a mistake to do that. You've got to be kidding me. Do you know what my offense is going to entail? It's probably going to entail just taking another sack, and then another sack, and then another sack. Though that's a great pass. Here's the thing. With only one timeout left, we have to score this touchdown extremely quick in case we don't get the 2-point conversion, which is why I'm just throwing this ball up, and we're going to take that. I don't know where this was at this entire game, but we're going to go back shoulder. We're going to come back to it. That's a great placement on that ball. Jimmy Dove keeping us in this national championship game. More importantly, though, do we have what it takes for this to work on the 2-point conversion? I think we do. That's great. See, I've had some moments in this game where I wasn't taking things too seriously. We're locked in now. And I've already kind of picked up on the fact that our pass coverage just is absolutely horrendous. I specifically increased our pass coverage on these players as well. I don't know what they're guarding. I don't know what they're tackling either, as they're now at midfield. I've seen enough. Send the blitz, and then watch them throw up a 50-50 ball. That's really annoying there. We're trying to generate some pressure, and how did they get that out? I feel like we literally had them there. They run it on 3rd down, and they don't get it. I can't believe I'm saying this, but look who's getting the ball back with a minute left on the clock. We used our final timeout, and they still punt it. For a majority of this game, I was not locked in. I am locked in right now. You know who's getting fed up the middle. Look at that placement on that pass. Don't tell me I can't throw the ball in the comments. I'm making some sick reads here. I mean, did I just drop back like 20 yards before throwing this away? I just didn't know where I wanted to go with that one. On 3rd down, though, we're going to hit Franco again. This is so clutch here. All we have to do is get a couple more yards, center things up, and they're going to lose this game. Now, I still don't really understand how to spike the ball, so what we're doing is a little bit of a makeshift one without any timeouts. We're just going to roll out, and we're going to eventually throw this ball away. Here's the problem, though. Michigan called a timeout, and then I just hit the button to call a play immediately out of pure habit, and I don't know if it's going to give me this field goal. It's not. I can't tell you how many times I accidentally call a play because I'm just impatient with it, but it's okay. We only lost 5 yards. In fact, that might even make this kick easier for us. I think we got it lined up pretty well. That bar's moving still. All right, I'm locked in. Come on. Come on. I think this has to go in, right? It's in? It's in. We have done it. Knowing some of the turnovers I made earlier on in this game, if I ended up losing this, I was going to be so upset, but it's over. Minnesota is taking home a national championship for the first time in what, like 65 years? I've done it. I've saved the Golden Gophers. It has been a long time coming on the channel. This was a fun team, fun fan base. We had fun traditions, and we also unlocked the trophy. I saw it pop up in the bottom corner. We can look at the trophy room still. Ronnie Bale, though, this might be the best quarterback I've been able to develop so far. I mean, he was awesome. Courtney Hayden was really cool this year, and then we had Jimmy Dove, the 98 speed, 6'3", 4-star star dev receiver that got up to almost 99 route running. What's crazy is if we didn't sign a few of those guys in season 1, then half of these trophies most likely that you're looking at the moment in our trophy room from this rebuild just wouldn't have even been possible. As we look through all these players we ended up putting onto the NFL, I just want to point out we did not lose to Iowa a single time throughout this rebuild, so that is something for me to be pretty proud of. And that is going to do it for my first 5-year rebuild on College Football 26. I think they're going to be a lot more challenging this year, but that also makes it more fun for me. So let me know in the comments, what team should I do next?